Hi there. Today we are going to discuss about error handling in Laravel. So whenever an error occurred in Laravel, Laravel throws an exception uh, and returns an response, appropriate response on the basis of the configuration. So there is a configuration in config app.php file called debug. So it has a default value true. So in development environment, it is okay because true value returns if it is true, then it returns the detailed information about an error. But for the production you need some template or some uh, meaningful things to the user, because user doesn't require these details of information, but the developer need. Okay, so let's understand it with the help of some example. So if we go to the routes web.php file. Okay, so let's return the response as a file. Okay, so basically this file does not exist in my application, so Laravel will throw an exception. So let's check it out. xyz.txt. So if we refresh, we will get the file not found exception. To handle these error exception, Laravel has a handle.php file in exception folder, app exception, handler.php file. Okay. So we were talking about the debug value basically. So if we make it false, sorry, then it will return you Laravel custom error template. Okay. We'll talk about these templates also in this video. So for now, we let's revert it to the default its default value. Okay, so Laravel has a handler.php file in app exceptions folder. This class is responsible to report an exception, all your application exception, and render render a appropriate response. So we will talk about these configurations and this function, so you can customize your exception handling in better and controlled way. So first configuration is a don't report. Currently we are having a file not found exception, and whenever an exception occurred, Laravel log it to the log php file storage. There is a folder storage in root and log, and then Laravel log. Okay, so if we refresh it again and check it, the laravel.log file, we have an exception. The file xyz does not exist exception this that. Okay, file not for exception. So if we don't want to report this exception, some specific this exception or some specific exception, then simply mention here in handler.php don't report section. So let's clean it out. Laravel.log, and in handler.php file you need to mention the class of an exception like this. Okay, so Laravel still will throw an error, but it will not report you. It will not log this exception in laravel.log file or whatever you have configured. You can see more about in logging in my logging video also. You can check it out. Okay. So if we refresh it now, it won't log this exception. Okay. So let's comment it out for now. The second configuration is a don't flash. So then don't flash configuration is related to the validation exception. Whenever a validation exception occurred during the validation, so if you mention your field here, then it will not return the old value. So we don't. So Laravel by default mention a password and password confirmation field. So let's check it out with the help of some example. In the web.php file, let's comment it out response, and it uses the welcome blade. So in welcome blade, we have say one simple form. Okay, it has a method post and it has a single field title, and in the value and its value section, we uses the old function to show the old values whenever an validation failed for this field. And in the bottom, in the below this field, we uses an error directive, the blade, and it shows the message error message of this field. Okay, the simple one. And let's handle it in the base suit also. Any, let's make it any to take the our post request. So let's figure it out if the method post. Okay, so and we will validate it. Okay, like this, and mention here your field. Our field name is title. Okay, and let's define some validation. So it must be an array. So we are defining a simple validation configuration. Okay, for the title, it must be a uh, less than equals to 5 length in length. Okay, whenever you enter more than a 5 length, then it will throw an exception. Okay, so let's check it out. So if we refresh our base path, we have this nice one-liner form, and if we enter a value here, then it returns a response. Okay, also we returning our old values. So if we test abc enter, then it returns. The title may not be getting, so it retains the value. But if this field, if you want to escape, if you want that it should not have the old value, then we mention here. So if we refresh this page and post testing submit, okay, validation message return, but it will not, it doesn't have its old value. So we can use this configuration like this. Okay, don't flash. So the third configuration, or you can say the first function, the report function. So the report function is responsible to log an exception, as mentioned its comment. Okay, so you can track down your exception by its type and by its instance type basically, and you can also customize the logging. So you are having an exception. Let's remove it. Let's comment it out this form also. Don't with this now. So we were having a file exception. Okay. So if we refresh it, we are having a file not found exception, and it is logging to the Laravel log. Okay. But we can control this using the report. So if we clear it out, Laravel log, okay, and let's die dump here. Something, sorry, activated. Okay. And now if we refresh it, we have this activated message. But like this, we will have the logic for the every exception. Okay, if you want to be specific, then we can use the is instance method. Instance of, sorry, and the exception you want to customize. So we are having a file not found exception. So just mention here. So we need to include this also at the top, like this, and okay, we can write our logic for this particular exception here. So let's die dump here. Okay, so let's throw some other exception to verify this. Let's suppose a equals to division by 0, 1 division by 0. So we'll have the division by 0 exception, error exception. Okay, so it passed through this block. So it this block only work for the file not found exception. So like this we can intercept the logging. Okay, so let's comment it out for now. For any error, uh, we can handle uh, the, we can handle any error in Laravel or PHP through the try catch block. Okay, like this. So if we handle it, Laravel will not return an error response. So your code will be running even if you have an error on any statement under the try block. Basically, you are catching here. So in the catch block, you catch the error, catch an error. So let's die dump here and let's print it cast. So we can handle our error very gracefully, you can say. But in the log file, you are also having that you are not having that error if you are handling the try catch. So let's refresh once again, and Laravel log file we won't have. But if we want to also log that error, then we can use a report helper like this. So now if we refresh it, then our application is still working, even if we have an error, and we have just successfully logged the division by zero error exception. Okay, like this. You can catch error through its exception class specific. You can have a multiple catch like this. Okay, so you can catch an error like this. Basically, with the report helper, you can report your error even you have handled it very gracefully. So the next thing I want to discuss, the every error like this error, division by zero error, uh, returns an object. So it has a exception object and some contextual value. Contextual value means every error has some data, or you can provide your customized data also. So to provide a customized data, you have a protected function context like this. Okay. And return here merge. You need to merge your custom data with the parent contextual data. Parent contextual data has all data which is returning like these verbose thing. Okay, so parent context, and let's suppose you have a data name Ajay like this. Okay, so let's clear it out, log file, and if we refresh it, so if we check it out, the log message, it has our data. So through this, you can pass the data, you can pass the um, any data to the log messages. Okay. So like this, the next method is render method. So render method is responsible to render an exception to the HTTP response. You can also intercept this on the basis of an exception type like this. So let's return the response here. Some error, and the status code is 500. Okay, and let's modify it to our file not found. example xyz txt like this. Okay, so we will have a file not found exception, and in handler.php in a render method we are intercepting this exception and return the sum error 500 instead of file not found exception. So it returns. Okay, like this you can intercept your any specific exception. Besides these, Laravel also having a um, inbuilt you can say HTTP error methods also. So in at any specific point in your development, you if you want to return a response to the user, HTTP error response. HTTP error response are the standard response like 404 not found, 500 for internal server error, and 401 you are unauthorized. So let's do it. The first one must be a HTTP code, and second one will be a message not found. Let's say, and if we refresh our base path, returns. These are the Laravel inbuilt templates, and if you want to customize it, and so you need to publish. There is a publish command in Laravel. This one, PHP artisan vendor publish tag Laravel errors. If you run this command, then it copies the all the HTTP error files into your application resource view errors. So let's check it out. This directory, we have a resource views and errors. Okay, you can see here 401, 403, 404, 429, 500, 503. These are the error templates, so you can customize it. And these error templates you can write any of your custom HTML. So you can customize it as well. Also, one last thing I want to discuss, you can have your custom exception class. So Laravel provide PHP artisan make exception, and let's say demo exception. Okay, like this. Enter. It will create an exception class in exception folder here. Okay, so if we open it out, it has nothing, but you can copy the render function and control. So let's remove it because we won't need the throwable here. And to the render, we can return the response. So you can do anything with the render and report method here also. So let's say custom error. Okay, and if you want to give the semester test code, otherwise it is not required. Okay, so let's have a simpler about exception class, demo exception, and we can have you can throw an exception at any point of time, and any exception using the throw method. Okay, So you need to create an instance of that exception. So in our example, we are using the demo exception. Okay. And in this, we are providing the message. Some error occurred. So let's check it out. Okay, refresh. We are having a custom error in the response. But if we check the Laravel log, let's clean it out first and again refresh it. So we are having the contextual value and exception, demo exception, some error occurred. Okay. So in the response, you need to look into this. In the response, we are returning the custom error in the browser. Okay. But in the log, we are sending the message here. So like this, you can create your custom exception class, and you are free to further explore. Actually, it's just an overview, and we are discussing here the all the except aspect of an error handling Laravel today. So that's all for now. Thank you for joining us.